The hand grip is one of the most important parts of the golf swing. And the reason for that is because the hands are an extension of the golf club. So a lot of us worry about getting the club face closed on impact, but let's just take a step back and think about getting those hands in the proper position so then you don't have to close it manually with the manipulations. Step 1, the gloved hand. Now, as a lefty, this is my right hand. As a righty, you would have your left hand for this position, but it's basically just the backhand of the setup, and that's going to be the gloved hand. So what you're going to do is you're going to imagine this imaginary line right through these fingers here. Now I want you to think of this every time you set up to the golf club. What you're going to do is place your hand on the side of the club, pull those fingers in, and then pull this hand over. Now you want to make sure there's a V here. Now this V is what you really want to feel every time you line up to the club, because that's going to make sure that you're not in a weak position. And another thing to think about is these two knuckles. Now you always want to feel and see those two knuckles whenever you're putting your hand on the club. A lot of people, what they'll do is they'll come up to the club, they'll put it in the center of their palm and then come over the top here. And what you see here is this thumb is on top of the club. There's no V, it's just a thumb and no knuckles. Now we definitely do not want that because you're going to be slicing all day. Step 2, the trail hand. Now this will be your trail hand, the ungloved hand. For lefties, of course, it'll be your left hand, and then for righties, it will be your right hand. So what you're going to do is line up to that club like you did before, put those hands in the right position, and then what you're going to do is take that trail hand and put it down underneath it. Now a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll do the opposite, but we definitely do not want that. We want the trail hand being underneath the front hand. So what you're going to do is get that V position with those two knuckles in there, put that trail hand on top. So what you're going to feel, it's similar to the last one, but a little different, is you're going to feel that line right here, and you're going to feel that position. Get that nicely in the fingers there. But in front, what you want to do is get a trigger finger. A lot of people, what they'll do is they'll start with their hand like this, where their finger is below their thumb, with their thumb on top, but it does not deliver good rotation. So if you get that trigger finger in there, you'll feel very strong in that position. You'll feel like you can really move that club. So a really good way to feel this position here is to take the club and feel you're pointing like a toy gun, and you'll feel that front finger really working in that position. So now we have the hands in the right position, but what do we do from here? Right now, we're at a 10-finger hold. Now, this can be good for some people, especially if you come from more of a baseball background, but a better way to do this is to either do the interlock or overlap. Now, if you're like me, I like the interlock because my hands are a bit smaller. But if you have bigger hands, the overlap definitely works. And what you'll really feel here is the interlock just comes right through those two fingers here, be your index finger and your pinky on your trail hand, and you'll just interlock them there. And then the overlap is just taking that pinky, putting it over top of that front hand, the gloved hand there. Now there are some things we definitely do not want to do on holding the club. So like I said earlier, someone would take the club, put it in like this, right in the palm, and then you see this very weak position here. Now this weak position, I see a lot in slicers. Like I said, there's no V here. It's just the thumb that's going over top here. We definitely don't want that, because what happens there is you take that club face back, but there's not very good wrist rotation here. Like I feel very the club face feels very open. And when I come back down, the club face is horribly open, to say the least. Just to reiterate here, that's why I say to make that line right through those fingers. Because if you think about that lining up to the club, what that's going to do is get that hand more on top of the club. Now, you don't want to get to the point where we are getting a strong hold. This is called a stronghold. That's when we see 3 fingers to 4 fingers on top of the club. And then this trail hand is more underneath the club. Now, what this is going to do is get that club face really, really closed. So some people that are trying to compensate for that slice get to this really strong position, and this is what I tend to want to do a lot. And then when they take it back, there's a lot of this wrist rotation here. But when they're coming back down, it's really close. And that just hooks the ball right up to the right. Now, you as an individual have to find what fits you best, whether you like the interlock, the overlap, or even the 10-finger hold. And that also matters in how you want to hold this club. So for me, I like a more neutral to stronger position. I'm not saying strong. You definitely don't want to go to the point where you're in a strong position, but you can have a little stronger of a neutral position there. Some people, they like a more weaker neutral position. It all just depends on what your body type is and how you like to swing the club. Lastly, grip strength. Now, a lot of people, especially us interlockers, we like to really squeeze that club. But you definitely don't want to have a very tight squeezed club, because what that's going to do is going to tighten up all of your muscles in your arm. Your arms are your club. Now you want to make that nice and flexible. So I would say starting out 40% probably on your strong feeling of the club. And then when you take it back, around 50, and then coming through 60 to 70%, but nothing more than that. All right, I hope you found this video encouraging. I think the game of golf is transformational. And what I mean by that is when you overcome those challenges of slicing or hitting the ground first, you learn how to apply that to life. And that's why I think golf and almost every sport is something that you apply to life. And I think that's why everyone is so attracted to these things. And that's why I want you to understand how to hit the ball correctly, is so then you can overcome those challenges. Just like today, I had a horrible round. But it doesn't make me a bad golfer, it just means I had a bad round. And if we looked at life that way, imagine what we could get done. Like, it'd be great. So just let it be an encouragement. Let everything you do, whether it be golf or other sports, let it apply to your life. And then with Christ's help, we'll get to the end. Keep loving your swing, and I'll see you